The whole city celebrates when the godly succeed. They shout for joy when the wicked die. Upright citizens are good for a city and make it prosper, but the talk of the wicked tears it apart. There is a concerted effort on the part of the ungodly to strip the godly of their influence in government. Especially here in El Paso, a concerted effort to strip the churches, strip the godly of their right to have a say how their government is run. I'm going to tell you, that is a plan of Satan. Because what Satan would love is to have the ungodly be the influence of a city. And when that happens, all hell will break loose. All sorts of judgment and problems will take place when the wicked are ruling. But oh, God blesses a city when the righteous rule. So today I want to talk about the influence that we Christians should be having on our government. But I know right now some of you are thinking, oh, I'm afraid of that Pastor Brown. I believe in the separation of church and state. We got to be careful because he doesn't believe in that. How many of y'all heard the separation of church and state? But do you know most people don't even recognize, are you ready? That the separation, the term separation of church and state is not even in our Constitution. What? No, it's in there somewhere. It is not in there. The First Amendment does not mention the separation of church and state. However, I think we need to understand where it came from. It came from a letter that Thomas Jefferson wrote to the Danbury Baptist Association in Connecticut. The Baptists were writing to Thomas Jefferson saying that they're very disillusioned because they feel like, as a minority, that their legislator their state is thinking that the people enjoy religious liberty not as an immutable right, but something that the state grants them. In other words, we'll grant you this right, so you should kiss the state because we gave you that right. You know what I mean? And they were writing to Thomas Jefferson and say they don't get it. The right to worship is not a gift that the state gives us. It is an immutable right that Almighty God gives us. Therefore, the state can't grant what God already has granted. The state can only take it from us. At least attempt to take it from us. So do you understand? They're writing Thomas Jefferson a letter saying the state doesn't get it. That they don't give us the rights to worship. God gives it to us. So Thomas Jefferson writes them back and basically affirms them and says, you are absolutely right. And so he writes this, I contemplate with sovereign reverence that act of the whole American people which declared that their legislator should, quote, make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, thus building a wall of separation between church and state. That's the phrase. What was he writing? He said, listen to me, the Constitution affirms that you have the right to worship, and there is a wall so that the state can't hurt you. You understand? There's a wall to protect you. But can I tell you what people have done? They've taken that phrase wall and said the government needs to be protected from the church. We want the church to stay out of the government. But no, Thomas Jefferson was writing it to say that the government should not overrule the church and that they don't have that right to do this. But today, secularists, irreligious people, ungodly people, they're wanting to rewrite history. And they're trying to tell the church, stay out of government. Don't influence legislation. Don't influence people's vote. Stay out. And we'll stay out of your affair. Yeah, right. See? And it's a lie. You say, well, Pastor, the separation of church and state, what does the Constitution then say? Here it is. The Constitution, the First Amendment, primary amendment, and here it is. Congress shall make no law respecting respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. So that is what's in the Constitution. Now, I want you to notice the Constitution. What does it restrain? Read it. Congress shall not. No restraint is put on the church. It does not say the church shall not get involved in Congress. Wait a minute. Or religion shall not get involved in Congress. Because the very people who wrote this, they then hired a chaplain for the Congress, and to this day, a chaplain opens up in prayer. See, it doesn't make any sense. The Constitution is not restraining the church. It is restraining Congress. Do you see this? Congress shall not. No explanation what the church can and can't do, except we have the freedom to worship as we see fit. And our religion, our faith tells us we are the salt in the earth. We are a city on a hill. We are the light of the world, and we cannot hide our light. We cannot cease to be salt. We cannot take us off the hill and hide our faith, because our faith tells us that we can change the world. Our faith tells us to be the salt in this earth, the light of the world. So my faith tells me I have to render to Caesar what is Caesar's and to God what is God. I don't render just to God and skip Caesar. I do it both. But what the world is telling you is render to God or to Caesar. Make up your mind. My faith tells me I have to be both involved with Caesar's affairs but with God's affairs. That my faith tells me the way I worship God is by changing the world. And it means getting involved in governmental affairs, getting involved in electing the right people who will honor God, making laws that are just and right and moral. My faith tells me I have to get involved. And yet people are saying, oh, a separation of church and state. No, I have the freedom to worship as I see fit. And my worship tells me I can't sit back and let the world become rotten meat when I could be salt to preserve the world so that it doesn't get so rotten. That's what my faith tells me. And the Constitution affirms my right to worship as I see fit, and that Congress and no government can stop that freedom. But do you see what the world is trying to tell us? You either render to God or Caesar. Make up your mind. You either want to be in religion or you want to be in government. You can't be both. What a lie. That's exactly what Satan would love for us to believe, is that we don't have the power to influence the world. But we can, and we must, and we shall. And for those who question the interpretation I've given, consider James Madison, who had his hand in the Constitution. He explains what is meant by the First Amendment. Listen to what he says. The civil rights of none shall be abridged on the account of religious belief or worship, nor shall any national religion be established. You know what James Madison understood? It's prohibiting Congress from doing what was done in England, which is England. They had the state church, the favored church, where the money and the taxes went to just that denomination. And what James Madison understood is that Congress cannot build a state church and give preferential treatment to one Christian denomination over another Christian denomination. You see? But it's not as people suppose, that we of faith should stay out of the political arena, should stay out of government, but no. It's just about that the Congress shall not have a state religion.